Okay, so good morning everybody. Wanted to give you an update on where we're at on the boat. As you can see, we have the top back in the boat right now, and the purpose for that is for us to try to make some ground, because unfortunately the weather here is down in the 30s. Now I know most of America right now is a lot colder than that with the wind chill factors, but you know, the 30s, 28, 30s. I think as I was driving here this morning, it was telling me it was 27 degrees in my truck as I was driving here this morning, which is pretty cold here for Houston. We're just not really set up for it, or we're definitely not set up for it. So we had planned to do a bunch of fiberglass work and epoxy work, but those of you that are familiar with that know that we're not able to do it. It's just too cold. We can't keep it warm enough to be able to do it. We could do some things, but I don't want to risk warping this top. I've kind of learnt my lesson with that sometimes if you try to introduce a lot of heat, or heat in general, then the epoxy tends to twist and buckle everything, and we've been down that road in the past, and I'd rather not do it on this particular project. So we're having to hold off on the glassing. I don't know if we'll be able to get the glassing done by this weekend. I've been watching the temperatures, and we're still probably going to be, you know, pretty cool, although it's supposed to warm up a little bit, but maybe not enough for us to get it glassed in. So we're kind of keeping our fingers crossed. We have all the glass pre-cut. So what we have done is we've gone ahead and pre-cut all the glass, and we have everything ready, so when the temperature just get up high enough, we're able to get this glassed in pretty quick. So that just goes back to what we was discussing before about going ahead and saying, okay, I can't get this done, but what can we get done? So by pre-cutting everything and identifying it, so we've pre-cut all the places and then we've numbered them. So when it comes time to glass it in, we know this piece goes here, we can epoxy it, put it in place, and then move on to the next piece, etc. So as you can see, we have the aluminum in place. Those of you that have watched the videos know what the aluminum is for. The aluminum is for the lip, which is going to add some water resistance to these lockers. They'll never be 100% waterproof, but they will be water resistant. It is a lot higher than we need. We kind of learnt our lessons from doing previous tops. In the past we had used plastic. The problem with the plastic is it becomes very warpy. The other thing you'll notice is we use staples this time instead of screws. The reason for that is the screws pull it in and add to the warpiness, believe it. Well, it's pretty easy to figure out after we figured it out. So we decided we would go with aluminum this time, and that we would staple it in place. That way it reduces the amount of waviness we have. We have a little bit of waviness in here right now. We will take that out just before we get ready to do all the fiberglass work. The reason why we're not too worried about it right now is because we've been screwing on this. We've been screwing all the under supports. So we've cut all of the, there's a lot, now there's another substructure underneath this that you can't see. We'll have to wait until we take it out and we'll show you what's underneath, but there's a lot of wood and support underneath to make this pretty rigid. It is not screwed right now to the boat. It is all kind of screwed to itself. So obviously after we get this all assembled, then we will actually bolt it where we can from the back sides and this way. Certain places we'll have to go from the front side out. So obviously that comes to a common sense of where you can. Obviously from that locker we can come from that side in. From this locker we can come from this side in. Obviously here we can't get to this, so we have to go from this side out. You know, it's 6 of one, a half dozen the other. On the longer pieces we like to try to get some pretty substantial fasteners in, because it helps with the rigidity and stops the flex. But obviously this is all going to be fiberglass and bonded to the original structure, as well as, you know, fasteners and stuff to help hold it in place. Our only concern right now is making sure we set the height correctly, and that's going to be determined by how many sheets of glass we have to put on here. We're thinking we're going to have to put 2 sheets of glass on it. Hopefully we don't have to put a third, but if we do, then we may have to drop this all down a 1/16 of an inch or so so that it all kind of lines up, and then when we glass across, that you don't end up with a step. Is obviously what we're looking for. There is some twists in the boat, and there's going to be some things we have to work around. That's just part of any boat. I don't care whether it's an old boat or a new boat. They are not as square and as flat and everything as you think they should be, or I think they should be, but they're not. I mean, it is a fiberglass mold, and regardless, even if it's a new boat or an old boat, they all seem to have the same problem. So we do have the substructure underneath here, which those pieces have already been epoxied, and then they will be glassed over as well. So very happy with the way this is turning out right now. Wish we were further along than we are, but unfortunately, you know, if we gambled and it didn't work, we would be redoing all of this, and I'm not into doing stuff twice. I've already been down that road too many times. So the other thing we have up here is we cut this all out. Sorry if it sounds like I'm shouting, I don't mean to, but my son tells me that you guys can't hear me. So we wasted way too much time trying to salvage what was here. We should have just cut it out originally. This would have already been complete if we'd have just done that, but you know, I continue to learn. So we was trying to salvage what was originally there, repair it and what have you, and finally it's like, this is not going to work. And even if we can get it to work, it's not going to be a quality situation. So we decided to cut our losses, cut it all out, which we did this morning. We cut all this out, we cut this wood, we cut a pattern, we cut the wood. Michael cut the wood, I didn't cut the wood. So Michael cut the wood, we've got it screwed in place. We obviously will be epoxying this on all sides, a couple of coats of epoxy all sides, and then we will come in and we will glass this, and then we will match it in, feather it in just like we did over here. It's going to be basically the same process that we did on those things, except for in this case it's going to be the dash. Obviously we're going to have to go back and recut the holes, but that's part of it. There's nothing we can do. We could have left it the way it was and done a patch-up job, but quite honestly, it's not the type of work that we want to turn out, and it's not the kind of work that Dave should get. Dave has entrusted us with this project, and you know, we need to give him the very best we can. And taking I don't know, I'm not saying it would have been a shortcut. It just wasn't going to be right. It just, anyway, enough of that. I guess I'm a little bit irritated myself that we should have just cut our losses on that last week and cut it out last week and move forward. So I think I've just about covered everything in regards to this. Hopefully it will warm up and we'll be able to get it glassed in. We'll keep you updated. Obviously, after we get this outside glass, I don't know if I covered this, but after we get this outside glassed in, we've already waxed this stuff. Okay, so this has got wax on it, so that once we glass it and it sets up, we can pop the aluminum off. The aluminum is not staying. Then we will put a sheet of glass, maybe 2 sheets of glass around the inside, and then we will set a height, because we're considerably higher, and we will cut it with one of these. So we'll know exactly where we need to be. We'll build some little temporary fixtures that we can lean up against and go around and set the height on it. The last time that we did this, or the last couple of times we did this, we used plastic. Do not use plastic, and definitely do not use screws. I don't know if I've covered that in the video, but don't use screws. We use staples this time, it's a lot better. The aluminum, we can straighten the aluminum out. We've obviously been working on this morning, screwing you know, the supports in from underneath, that kind of stuff. So, but when we get ready to glass it, we will straighten all this stuff up. It straightens up very, very well, and then we will have less waviness in it. Obviously, there is some waviness in it right now, but that's from us leaning on it, Michael kneeling on it, and everything else. So don't use the plastic like we've used in the past. This is definitely a better way to go. It's a lot stronger, and I think it'll make a better final product. So Anyway, okay, so that's all the update I have for you right now. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe. I really would appreciate that. And I also want to give a shout out to Dave. Can't thank him enough. I cannot thank him enough for his support. I cannot thank him enough for replying to my texts, and also from being involved with his build. It does make the build a lot easier, and it's great to work with such a great customer that's actively involved in his project. It makes our job a lot easier. So thanks a lot, Dave. Appreciate you, man.